September 11th, 2025 meeting of the Monmouth Planning Board. I'm Stephen O'Donnell, the chair. In terms of the members, in addition to myself, we've got Rick Grant, Larry Saucier, and Ray Simon as full members, and two alternates, Dave Shaw and Bonnie Green. Dave Mills is not here. We have to designate who's going to be voting. I have no idea the last time. But you have an issue with,
What, the first one?
yeah. So why don't we have Bonnie as the voting member tonight?
Okay.
Okay. Approval of minutes from the August meeting. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving those minutes? Okay. Unanimous. If anyone's here who hasn't signed in, I'd appreciate if you would do so. So we sort of have a record when someone speaks who is here, we'd like to keep kind of an official, but if everyone's signed in, we're good. So at our last meeting, we tabled the Lake Star LLC project on 135 as there was an issue regarding the right-of-way, the frontage, where we're determining setbacks for buildings.
Steve. Possible to make a motion to dispose of the two non-conformances, that it would be quick and easy?
Go on to the two shoreland matters.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because
they shouldn't be as,
I'll second that.
all in favor of dealing with the shoreland zoning matters first? Okay.
thank you.
All right, so the first one we have is Tina Pelletier for 5 Kimball Lane. And it's a request to repair the foundation of an existing house. There's no plan to build a new foundation or to expand what exists. So this is only a repair. So it's not, I'm not sure. Isabel, what's your position if they're not say, putting in a full foundation or raising the level of the building? I'm not sure we need to determine whether it's set back to the fullest practical extent.
First off, sorry about my voice. I have a little bit of a head cold, but we'll get through it. So in this case, the determination is really whether the structure in any case meets best practical.
Okay,
So I think it would be best
to address
practice
that.
to do some findings here. Yeah.
So we had a site visit and I think everyone pretty much was there just to see what
Later.
the site is. I did talk to Bill Monagle. He didn't have a chance to get down to the property, just because of his schedule. And so he hasn't done any type of formal review. But what he said to me is that he wouldn't have any concern if this isn't a new foundation or the building isn't going to be elevated any higher. That might trigger some issues. But he mentioned to me that in terms of the situation you have with the ditch, he said he doesn't believe he was ever there. He thinks it might have been someone from the Friends of Cobussy Watershed.
That would be correct.
But he's willing to come down, talk to you and kind of look at what you're dealing with as far as that ditch in the back.
Coming in with the culvert, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, any changes since we've been there?
No,
And so again, your plan is just to raise this building? How are you gonna go about making the repair? What's your
so,
game plan?
so what the contractor outlined was that he was gonna put an insulated slab and then put, 26-inch walls, 26 around the outer wall to repair what's there now and with new posts to replace the existing posts that are under there. If there is any, we can't see what's under there.
Because it looked like we went, when we went there, you sort of showed us that opening
Right.
and it looks very, say, well, there's not much room.
No, and that, like I
You
said.
might get a 5-year-old in there or something.
That's just an access, it's a 6x8 access area, and then from after that, you can't get under the camp anywhere.
Yeah. So do you have any idea whether this is gonna raise, say, the elevation? Or is it,
believe so. Because they're gonna go down the necessary depth for the walls, and then it won't be any lower than what that access area that you saw was.
right?
So,
And do you have some plans to add any drainage around the building at all?
I think that's probably something I'm gonna have to discuss with like a perimeter drain around that other than that, we've got a sump pump that we've been using and that seems to be doing okay, if that's what we need to do.
There are no gutters, right, on the building?
There's just one little section where there's a walkway.
Yeah. Any other questions from the board?
I don't have a question, but I'd be interested in knowing what the bill recommends for the water flow that's coming down the hill and washing right by their structure and, you know, where that culvert is. A ditch.
Yeah, when that overflows, it's,
Yeah, but that's,
Yeah.
and this one here, that's like 5 separate issues compared to what we deal with the building.
And he's, I discussed that with him and he's willing to go down there. Of course, he says there's probably no water in it now.
No.
But he's willing to go down and take a look and perhaps make some recommendations. But I think the recommendation from our town planner is we can sort of address some of these issues by our conditions.
You could leave it open-ended for the CEO to put in as he writes a permit too. You know, with Bella holding his hand, she's gonna be doing for she can show him how to do that.
Well, I think the first issue we have to address is whether this proposal would meet the setback to the fullest practical extent.
I would move that the applicant has met to the best of their ability the setbacks to the greatest extent practical on this particular site.
yeah, I thought when we were all there, that we were looking at where the septic was and where the leach field was and where
Yeah.
everything was in proximity to the house and everything, and there's really not a whole lot of room there.
Yeah, no, there's nothing you can really
Then you
do.
had a concern with how close the house was to, the deck was to the Burrell's property. But that didn't, we couldn't go anywhere with that either, so. I thought that was the purpose of the site visit.
Yeah,
Was
well,
the-
yeah, now we kind of formally take action. I mean, people have had a chance to, review your application, they've seen the property. And so now that's sort of where we are.
Right.
Is to make this determination as to whether, in practical terms, whether the building should remain where it is and foundation such as it is should remain where it is, or whether, it should be moved. And it's, as we could see at the site visit, there are some constraints to moving that building.
Right.
So are you making a motion, Ray, that it would meet the setback to the fullest practical extent?
Yeah, yes, I would make that motion that it does. Setbacks the greatest practical extent.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on that? All in favor? Okay. So then the question is, maybe that motion is in conformance with, so there are proposed findings of fact, 1 through 8. Then, so anyone have any issue with any of the findings of fact? Seem to be pretty much in order. No one has any objection to those? Then, well, let me just say, would someone make a motion to adopt those findings of fact?
Make a motion to adopt the findings of facts 1 through 8.
Second,
Second.
any discussion, all in favor? And then the next question would be, we have a motion to approve this with conditions.
I make a motion to approve condition 1 through 5.
Includes the, drip edge.
Right, so we have need to obtain a building permit. Erosion control measures, that's the sort of standard. Crushed stone should be added to the drip edge of the building in order to minimize direct runoff to the lake. Runoff shall be directed to the existing drainage to minimize direct runoff to the lake. And prior to start of construction, applicant shall obtain a permit by rule from DEP for any improvements within 75 feet of the water body. That's something you can do online. Any thought that any additional condition or suggestion needs to be added in terms of the code enforcement officer and the,
Can we add to the floor, as per, our request from Bill Monagle? We write something
All
down.
right.
So he'll know where to direct it to,
Right,
not just the existing ditch, which might make that runoff exceptionally more than what it is.
so we got prior to the start of construction, the applicant is required to obtain a building permit from the code enforcement officer. Which should include any recommendations from the Cobussy Watershed District
To do that.
in terms of drainage.
Sounds good.
Does that sound okay? So with that change, the motion makers, do they agree to that amendment?
Yes.
So all in favor of approving this with those 5 conditions, with the amendment to condition number 2? Favor? So next step from here is you'll get a written decision. And we can get you the number for Cobussy Watershed. I think you should try to arrange a time where he can come down and just look and see whether there's some recommendations that he would have with respect to where that drainage should be directed. Okay. That's it tonight, unless you have any questions.
Steve, who seconded that?
The state's called.
I got it.
Bonnie did. We'll try to get you that decision as soon as we can.
Okay.
And it- To you and then deal with the code enforcement, but it would be good to have that check-in with the watershed. It's gonna be good. You're gonna spend all that money lifting that building up, fixing it. You wanna make sure whatever water is gonna not go back into that.
Well, I'd love to have the representative from the watershed
Yeah.
come over and take a look at
Yeah.
this anyway.
Yeah,
Friends of Cobussy, then I'm not getting anywhere. I want to get.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's getting the right person.
yeah.
Okay,
You can
great.
start working on the permit by rule, because that takes 2 weeks.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, take care.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Conditions.
That's good. Work higher up, went down through.
That's a mess.
Second done. Okay.
Yeah. It's good.
You know, socially, yeah.
Right. So the next matter on the agenda is the shoreland zoning application from Brian Intwat. You're here for him, Paul? Again, this is a similar issue, raise a residential structure to replace the failing piers. Otis Lane is on Lake Fauquonagan.
Now, one change I just learned the other day is the applicant wishes to put a frost wall underneath the building. Not gonna change the footprint or anything else, but instead of the piers,
Is it gonna raise the elevation?
no. Other than temporarily doing the jacking of,
Right.
yeah. No, it's proposal is just that a pier for the frost wall. And actually, it may work. There'd be some advantages with respect to draining on the uphill side. Because he would be proposing, and we've discussed this, is to have his contractor put in a shallow diversion ditch to intercept any runoff from uphill and the runoff off the roof on the westerly side or uphill side. That would be directed to the northerly side towards the shed, which would then go into a natural swale. The only runoff that would be going to the lake would be the runoff off the easterly side of the building. That would be the drip edge. And I know there's always a concern expressed about runoff on that short little driveway. By doing that, I think we can intercept some of that runoff and direct that. But that's not,
So is it just one frost wall? Where,
I think he's proposing the whole footprint of the building.
so, all right, because we got our proposed finding number 4, to repair and replace the piers supporting the residential structure and to add a frost wall or add frost walls.
No slab.
No. But by adding the frost wall, yeah, obviously it's discussed this with them, they'd have to put in some kind of perimeter drain along the uphill side. And then all to divert that, so you're not getting that water underneath the building, which is happening currently. And then going towards the lake, so that can all be mitigated.
He did not go to either of them, but he knew which one we were talking about because we were at that other
one.
other property, so he's familiar with the site. Um, You know, and I'm just looking at the kind of the other setback issues. It looks like, you know, and it's probably in this area, a lot of these buildings were done before the adoption of some of our municipal ordinances.
This one was waiting for.
I think we've identified that one of the side setbacks is only 15 feet, but it's probably grandfathered.
Yes. The lot was conveyed out from the Robinsons, Burton Robinson in 1946. And I'm going to mention that building, and I'm not sure, at least part of the building was built somewhere circa that time.
Yeah. And there's a holding tank.
Yes. There is existing holding tank because the site just is not compatible to heavy waste disposal field.
Yeah. And that's one of the concerns they have about moving the building. Are there trees, some trees I think we talked about might have to come down?
Well, there is
Or some-
one large pine, and I talked to the applicant about that, and he's already been talking to the codes officer.
There were 10 trees taken down, I think, yesterday on that lot. Just saying,
Yeah, I haven't been out there since.
I live right next door, so
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
I
but
wasn't sure. I apologize. My name is Doug Simonton. I live at 18 Bailey Lane,
okay.
Felix and I. And we did not get the notice. The town office mailed it to Winthrop, Massachusetts, which is my home. I didn't get it until last Friday.
Okay,
I apologize for not being on the tour.
yeah,
I didn't have any idea there was anything going on there.
yeah,
But when I got it, I did go over and look from my next door neighbor, Bill Flagg, and looked at the property. And then yesterday at 8 o'clock, they started taking trees down. They finished about 5 o'clock at night.
with the contractor they brought in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know
So,
he had been talking to the codes officer about that.
yeah, I mean, it was kind of apparent some trees looked damaged when we were there. Some of the pines. Generally, what happens if there is a removal of trees sort of within the shoreland zone, there has to be replanting done of something, other trees, maybe not the same type, but we want to make sure there's a root system there that's gonna help absorb runoff. So we don't have a flow of water, into the lake causing phosphorus or other issues.
And
You can put
like
that-
4 were taken down in the shore zone, that's 100 feet, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, so I would say 4 were in
100,
that zone.
So we can add that into it.
yeah, we'll have to add
Mhm.
that as a condition of,
Now, may I ask, were they some of the larger pines?
Um,
'Cause I know there was one large pine, probably about 24-inch diameter,
I wonder,
right off the
by the
corner.
time we get over to really look at them and look at them from, they're gone.
Yeah.
But there was some big trees taken down both in front and in back. How big are trees?
I know when at the site, we discussed about pine trees.
yeah.
But the applicant had, under a separate issue, had to talk to the codes officer. I think he's probably aware about replanting, but go ahead, add the condition.
Well, I know we looked at the kind of a neighbor camp earlier this summer, the one that had the fire.
Yep.
And it looked like the power line was being compromised by trees, and I think that's kind of a common problem on some of these shoreland lots, that you've got these wires kind of running through a wooded area. So it probably makes some sense in terms of the electricity and preventing kind of one of these, another fire or something, that there's some attention to that.
We didn't get a notice on that one,
Yeah,
so.
well, you might not have been close enough to that one.
Oh, we're right next door.
Oh, you are?
It's Ginto's house
Yeah.
and Bill Flagg and then us, Simonton.
Okay.
And we saw the crowd there. We had, we didn't know we knew the fire was there, obviously.
Yeah,
That was on Mother's Day,
yeah,
so.
yeah. So we gave them permission to repair that as it sits.
Yeah.
It's not an expansion in any way, that one, but nor is this one. This one is just basically to repair the foundation and hopefully do some things for drainage that are gonna, protect that property and also not cause a problem for the lake.
There just did seem to be a problem with the wires too close to the tree.
Yeah,
And that ran all down, our road. Not just at Bill's house, but I'm sure down at Robinson's also. And our next door neighbor.
Well, that line runs all the way along the western shore of Cockamauga.
yeah.
It'll go all the way down,
To me,
to Dave's property.
And we hear from people that it's hard to get CMP to come in to some of these.
I wouldn't be
Camp
surprised
roads.
if those back trees were being cut by CMP. Because the one that we went to last time was having trees cut by CMP because of started
Because of that fire.
So this is the next one closest to that, so I'm sure they might have, I'm not saying for sure, but you could check, I'm sure they would. CMP knows about them.
There's no pre-project photos that you know of.
On this one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were
They
submitted.
were,
They were-
yeah,
they were
last
with the
week or
application.
this month.
they were in the application, yeah. Yes.
Oh, and we may have left that out, that last approval for post.
Oh, I can update that.
Yeah, we'll reopen that.
Yeah.
But we need to add that to this one too, that, post-construction photos be submitted to, do they go to you, Isabel, or to the,
Yeah, I'll take them.
yeah,
It's not a photo album.
yeah,
Well, they go to the town, but you also have to submit post-construction photos for by rule. And just for your information, I don't know, but the permit by rule process has changed. You gotta go on to what they developed a site called Maine MELS. It's a license.
switched around, but it's, Is there anyone in the audience who has interest in speaking about this project? Or on Zoom? Sir, do you have a position on this project?
Not really sure exactly what's gonna be done on the project, because I didn't
Yeah.
see the walkthrough.
Yeah, so the plan is just to jack it up, put in frost walls, replace the piers that are holding it up, and putting it right back down. Not increasing the size of the building. And likely, I mean, the planning board has to decide, should it be moved? But
I think said there was a storage tank, I think it's 1,500 gallon.
1,000.
Okay. So we were pretty friendly with the people that lived there before Pinto, so we knew about that, but, and that's gonna stay, is that correct?
That's correct.
yeah,
I don't have any other problems except what, if they did take trees, if they were from the shore zone,
yeah,
that's what's in that.
making sure they're revegetating the site.
So, the ordinance requires all trees removed in the setback area must be replanted with at least one native tree 3 feet in height for every tree removed. And if more than 5 trees are planted, no one species of tree shall make up more than 50% of the number of trees planted. And they need to be planted no further from the water than the trees that were removed. So about the same line.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm all right with that.
So on the findings of fact, we just have, we're adding to number 4, after the pier supporting the residential structure to add and frost walls. So do we have a motion to accept those findings of fact?
Make a motion to accept the findings of facts stuff through 8. So change to number 4.
Second by Rick. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. So then the next motion would be to approve yeah, well, it's gonna be 1 through 6, because we're gonna have submit pictures.
Replanting trees.
So which one will that, so the trees will be number 6? And the photos number 7?
Yeah.
Let's say 5.
So it would be
Yeah.
plant trees removed within 100 feet of the shoreline,
Just permit.
consistent with the requirements of the ordinance. So a motion that to approve this application, will allow the building to remain where it is without moving it, and to have it, the approval subject to conditions 1 through 7. I'll make that motion.
Motion.
Larry, is there a second? Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? We'll get a decision together. Okay,
Yeah, permit by rule already been,
the question, already got
it's
it.
already been.
Right,
Steve, I'd like to reopen the hearing on the
yeah, if we could reopen that.
tax map 36, lot 6, to add the condition of post. Pre and post.
Yeah, all in favor of that motion, or is there a second? Second by Ray, all in favor of amending that earlier approval? Okay, that's unanimous. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Right, here we are again, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're here because we tabled
That's four.
at our last meeting the review of this amended subdivision application. To sort of address whether the setbacks for the building under construction is being met. And there was kind of questions about the right of way. We did have a legal opinion that it should be, sort of measured from the edge of the property. Whether that addresses all the concerns. For our purposes, we're trying to determine whether the applicant has some right, title, and interest to have access for the development.
Right, and Isabel was kind enough to provide the responses from Mr. McCall, the attorney. And he said in two or three different places together with the two different rights of way, the 30 and 20 up here and then the 40 and 10 down here. He said there appears to be sufficient width for the entire length of Birchwood. So the attorney says that there is an adequate right of way. And so I think that would be the position we want to advocate.
And so just to kind of, again, summarize, this was once a much larger proposal. And now we're left with 5 lots, the fifth lot being basically the remainder of the undeveloped portion.
Right, so I can give you a little introduction. This is the existing farmhouse that's out on the property now. And this house they've started construction. I hear from some of the neighbors that they've actually got the exterior up and some siding on, it's starting to look pretty nice. This was the one that was sort of in question about the setback, because when we designed it, we believe we followed the ordinance and set it back 50 feet from the property line. Turns out that's the ordinance, your ordinance says setback has to be measured from the property line. There's other discussion in your ordinance about setting back from a right of way. But that sort of implies that the right of way is concurrent with the property line. And so it'd be confusing to try to do anything else. And that was the confusion we were having last week or last time we met. So in addition to this house that's under construction now, the applicant's proposing 2 more homes down here. And so we're limiting it to just these 3 homes plus the existing farmhouse, simply because we want to have less than 20,000 square feet of disturbance. So we don't have, at this point, don't have to have a DEP permit. And so we're working on the DEP permit now for the remainders of the sites. And it looks like there'll be a total of 13 new homes, including these ones, plus the farmhouse. So that's what we can do.
Right, but we're here tonight for 5 lots.
Exactly. And
So how are those lots again numbered? So 1 would be the
one
existing,
is the existing farmhouse. 2 is the one that's under construction. 3 is this next house.
yeah,
4 is this,
big lot.
the remaining piece that we're not proposing anything on. And 5 is this one down by the water.
So we're not addressing tonight on lot 5, the shoreland zoning issues.
Correct.
But that will come up when you propose what you're building.
Right, but the house itself is outside the shoreline zone. Because this is sort of one of those, a weird, well, it's outside the 100-foot range. The 250-foot shoreline zone is here. Because there's a forested wetland here, that pushes the shoreline zone, the 250-foot setback to the back edge of the forested
Yeah.
wetland. So we will have to do a shoreline zone permit
Yeah,
for this,
for that
for
one.
this one lot. This one is essentially good to go.
Okay, so planning board members, questions, comments?
And I did do the phosphorus analysis for these sites
Right.
and ran them by Mr. Monagle. He's
Yeah,
signed up on
and
those.
yeah, you know, and we got an email, Isabel and I this afternoon that, he had earlier indicated that he was satisfied as far as this 5 lot were concerned.
I think I provided his memo or.
I think so last time. Any,
Holly is on.
anyone on the, via Zoom that wants to make any comment on this or question?
I'm here. I just want to say hi and thank you for your time.
Okay,
Nothing else to offer.
all right. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
I have some, just one thing to say about Paul's
Yeah.
comments, made some comments around the subdivision plat. This one was provided in your packet the last time, but it wasn't at the end and it was in a sort of confusing place. So we did have this at your last meeting. I reviewed your comments against it. There was a couple of things that I wanted to add as a condition. So in the findings that in your packet for this today, I've added condition number 14 in red. This essentially reflects Paul's repeating comments on the recording flaw. And just generally make it all adopting conditions of approval of the subdivision.
We don't have a proposed plan here tonight to sign, so. So 14 is prior to planning board signature of the subdivision plan for recording. Shall be reviewed to include all adopted conditions of approval, recording block. Stamp of the surveyor.
Steve,
Yes,
may not make a difference. You said on number 14, you said reviewed, and my number 14 says revised.
there'll be, oh, okay.
Revised.
Planning board plan for recording shall be, so I think you're talking about what you have now needs to be
Exactly.
revised, okay.
Even this one that you're
This one.
seeing here needs to include those items. And that's that's an ordinance requirement and also is fairly standard, how all the adopted conditions on there.
But so a revision is different from just a review.
And it should say revised.
Thank you for, I have a clip here, so I'm kind of,
Okay.
I assumed it said reviewed, and now that I pull it up, you know, that it's revised. All right. So, in any subdivision, Paul, do you have any further comments? No. All right. So again, we have the findings of fact, number 1 through 7. Up there, the applicant proposes to develop a 5-lot subdivision containing 3 new residential lots. The existing farmhouse lot and 1 lot containing the remaining land. So do we have a motion to accept those findings of fact?
I make a motion to accept finding facts. 1 through 7.
For a second. They're on about 3 or 4 pages in. For a second,
Second.
any discussion on the findings of fact? If not, all in favor of adopting those findings of fact? Then we have to, in review of any subdivision, we have to review the subdivision conditions. We have proposed conclusions of law, numbers 1 through 26. Anything additional to those? All right. Do we want to review these independently, or do we have a motion to adopt as written to approve that they are in conformance with the ordinance requirements?
Read that again.
We can either review each of these conclusions independently, one at a time.
Yeah.
Or,
We used to do.
Right.
or we can, now that we've got this written out in a kind of a clear and concise way, I think we can make one motion
For all 26.
Yeah.
that the conclusions
I
are,
make a motion to, well, 1 through 26.
that the conclusions of law required on the subdivision ordinance are met in items 1 through 26.
Right.
And do we have a second? While they're waiting on this, for those in the audience who aren't familiar with subdivisions, that there are a number of different standards that the planning board is required to address in reviewing a subdivision. Things like water quality, impact on public services, fire, water, the transfer station. Big one for any project in Monmouth is, that this doesn't cause problems to our pond, Great Pond, that there's not going to be degradation caused by the development. The development is going to treat runoff within the site. There are requirements that don't so much apply to this as some other subdivisions in terms of lighting and signs. I don't think we have any proposal for this juncture for lighting or any of that. But we look at a number of things. We have to determine that, for instance, there's no historic sites that have been identified by the state or federal government or you know, that there are no, protected areas that have been designated by inland fisheries and wildlife, and so forth. That's what we're talking about. We can go through these one by one or just, you know, if we're satisfied, that the language we're adopting is, sufficient. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second yet? If not, we can go through these one by one. I mean, that's, if people are more comfortable with that. Why don't we take them up? That might be just quicker. Okay, the first one is addresses sections 6.3.1B, 6.75, and 6.7.6, air and water quality. And we have we would need a motion that in terms of air quality, the proposal of the 5 lots will not produce emissions that would be damage to human or animal health, vegetation, or property. We're also addressing whether wetlands were mapped, building envelopes, potential driveway locations shown, and that the stormwater would be met. So we have a motion that the project will not result in either undue air or water pollution, either on or off site.
You want me to explain how we meet those standards?
No, I don't, I'm just waiting for a second first. We can't really discuss it until there's a second.
Oh,
Well, I would hope someone could at least make a second, we can discuss it. It's not, making a second is not an approval.
Has anyone made the motion?
Larry Mooney
Made a
motion.
motion. So-
There is a motion on the table.
Oh,
His motion was to adopt all of them, 1, 2 through 26.
All right, so we need a motion on. I mean, if you want to adopt them all, we just need to move forward, folks. We're gonna be here all night.
yeah.
It's all,
Either
it's.
doing them all together
It's
or-
all spelled out what they need to go do. I
Yeah,
make a motion to accept 1 through 26 as it's written.
you have a second. I'll second. All right, let's discuss it. Should we do this all at once? Yes or no? Rick?
Yes.
Bonnie? Yes or no?
Okay,
Larry, you're in favor?
Okay,
Okay, all right, we're reviewing them all at once then. All in favor of adopting these conclusions as stated, legal conclusions? Raise your hand if you're in favor. Okay. All right, then we get to the conditions or the approval. We could entertain a motion to we have here recommended conditions 1 through 14. Do we have a motion to approve this 5-lot subdivision
I make a motion,
with these 14 conditions?
I make a motion to approve with these 14 conditions.
Is there a second? Second by Rick. All right. Let's discuss. It looks pretty. I don't know whether we need to. See. Number 12, I don't know whether we should amend that to add in that lot 5 will need a shoreland zoning permit before issuance of the building permit.
I think it would be best practice. I like to think of these as customer service too, so if they forget, they have it
Yeah.
there. And I would add it as condition 15.
Okay, all right. Condition 15 would be that prior to issuance of a building permit of lot 5, the applicant shall obtain a shoreland zoning permit from the planning board. Okay. So with that, anyone else recommend any additional conditions or amendment? If not, do we have a vote on whether to approve this with the 15 conditions? All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you.
All right, so it's just a matter, Jeff, of getting us the plan.
I spoke to Isabel, she's gonna send me the conditions,
Yeah,
and I'll just paste them on this
yeah,
bar there and get it back to you.
okay.
And how many copies do you need?
We only need one.
One for us, one for the registry, and if you want one, bring us a third.
Yeah, so how many you want us to sign, but we need to sign one for us, you'll need to sign one for the registry. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, and we'll get you a written decision as well. Probably once we see.
Jeff, you'll work on getting the app to develop for lot 5.
I'm not sure how soon they want to start that, but I'll speak with the client and see when she wants to start that house, but
Okay.
yeah, then I can prepare that shoreline zone app.
And that way we'll see we'll be focusing, Shoreland is just gonna focus on that one lot.
Yeah.
You know, that. Whether people want to go down and see it. Is it accessible now?
Yes, somewhat.
I mean, this maybe is the best time of year to go look.
It's available somewhat. I mean, you can walk in from,
This is the lot you've already been down to, actually.
No, we
No,
never
not
went
this
to
one.
that lot.
we didn't go down that far, Holly.
No? Okay.
This is the beach area is right along here, so there's a snowmobile trail that goes in along here somewhere.
Yeah.
And so we came in from the snowmobile.
Yeah.
They need to do that once we get the application because
That's why I'm saying you might want to get it sooner than later.
Yeah, I don't want to go out again in January.
yeah, right, exactly.
I'll talk to Holly.
Okay,
Very good.
we're good on that for tonight. We do have a new business item, which is a request by Kennebec County MESI LLC, doing business as Sol America Energy, for a 1-year extension of the permit we approved on November 14th. We haven't got to the year yet, but I suppose they're being
Being proactive.
proactive. So do they want a year from November?
I believe the intention is one extension.
From November.
From November.
We have, in the past, pretty much approved these as a matter of course. And especially, I understand some of these solar projects, getting the necessary panels. And that was, see that they're developing that other site now. It took them a while to get the panels they needed.
And I have a question about that. I recall the discussion about that. Now we're talking about the array behind the pipe.
So now we're
No.
talking about the one further down on the other side of Fish Hatchery Road.
Okay, well, that's the new business one.
Right.
Okay,
They're the ones who are requesting the extension.
right. But I have a question about the.
Well, we'll take that up
Oh,
now.
okay, all right,
Just make sure we don't forget that.
okay.
Do we have a motion to grant a one-year extension from November 14th,
I make a
twenty
motion
twenty-four?
to add an extension
Grant them.
to grant them.
I'll
Saturday,
second.
November 14th.
Any discussion on that one? All in favor? Okay.
Anybody there?
Anyone on the audience interested in this matter, the Soul America requesting a one-year extension of their permit?
Yes, I'm here from Soul America. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Ken, yep, sorry, I didn't recognize who you were.
Yeah, I'm Scott Temple. I was there for the site visit a while ago on this project. But thank
Okay,
you for the approval. I can't really hear you, but I can read you on the captions. So
okay.
is there a question for me?
No, not really. We just wanted to know if anyone had any kind of issue with this request for the extension. As I said, the planning board gives these pretty much as a matter of course, the first extension. So it looks like we haven't heard from anyone that they are opposed. So the planning board will grant it.
And I have a. Have you planned the planting yet? Nope, there's planting on both sides. And part,
Yeah, I believe that's under design. Yes.
I think the issue, we talked about this, Bonnie, the concern was, this has come up before, is if you plant something, is it gonna make, if you plant it now, are you risking damaging it during construction activity? I think that's a matter for them to decide. I mean, it would be great, I think, to do some planting now, because then you get, but I don't think we made that a requirement before.
okay,
But if the applicant wants to start that, that would be a really good thing, I think. Because then you'll have those trees starting to mature.
Yeah,
Takes a while for
absolutely.
them
Yeah,
to
we
grow.
can, there's certainly places on the property where we can start doing that. I think some of the plantings right near the array may have to wait a little bit. I'm not the construction manager, but I know we definitely can and want to get those planted as soon as possible.
That would really be a good, I think. Yeah, that would probably make a lot of the abutters happy.
Can I speak to your,
Yeah.
sort of your question? We did adopt a condition of approval on this one. It was 17, that the applicant shall initiate plantings along the Smith boundary and the Beasley boundary as soon as practicable, but at least prior to the start of site work or construction on the subject.
that's what I remember.
Yeah, okay.
And I haven't seen a thing, so.
Yeah.
So at least prior to site work or construction, and I don't believe they've started anything on this one.
And the Beasleys just put in a new home.
Yes, they did.
Yep, those are the areas that we would definitely start ahead of time.
All right, that would be great, Scott, if you can pass the word along.
I certainly will.
And, we may highlight that in the extension we grant, we'll reference that permit condition.
I would
Just so-
appreciate that.
That way it's kind of highlighted again. Is that good, Bonnie?
That's better.
Yep, okay. All right, I think we're good on that.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for coming in. So, yes, we can move down to other business. That is,
She's got paperwork.
for those of you who didn't hear earlier, Isabel and Dave reported that we have a new old code enforcement officer coming on board. Has he started?
I started last.
Has
I got an email from Andy this week, but maybe it was
Yes.
last
I
week.
think
did.
there was a training day where they might have overlapped.
There
Okay,
was.
yeah.
I couldn't make it.
Want one of these? You can have one. So what I'm trying to get us started on is tackling some of our ordinance amendments. And I thought I would tackle the organization first. So what I've started to come up with is a little bit of a work plan of how we're gonna start tackling these. So the first is general organizational structure recommendations, just generally trying to make this a little bit more of a user-friendly document. And then, excuse me, also addressing some of the known conflicts, such as the one we discussed this evening,
Yeah.
and typos within the ordinance. So I'll try to take those as a sort of an easy first round. Then the Conservation Commission, related to the recently adopted comprehensive plan, has asked for some changes related to clustered subdivision requirements. Specifically an explicit requirement to retain and formalize trail systems that cross a property or have somebody pay a trail impact fee, which we don't have an impact fee situation right now. So I'm working with them on this, and I'm anticipating that I'll have something to show them in November. And then, as you know, as a planning board, all amendments to the land use, in your case, the comprehensive development ordinance, need to go through for a public hearing and recommendation. So when I have something to share, I would also want to make sure that you all are comfortable with that as well. That's sort of the second thing I'm working on. We do need to address amendments to comply with LD 2003, hoping to have those to you before the end of the year as well. I should say I have an intern working for me this semester who's doing a great job on the cluster development stuff. So he'll be really taking the lead on that, and I'll take the lead on LD 2003.
What is LD 2003? What is that?
Sorry, that's the new old housing bill. So the housing bill that was adopted back in 2023.
Okay.
Allowing ADUs and multiple dwellings on one lot.
What should we talk? Good.
Then in January 2026, I'm expecting that we'll have our comp plan deemed consistent by the state and ready to get going on amendments consistent with the comprehensive plan, which will likely be a whole slew of things in itself. But I'm trying to set us up for success with some of these other ones first. Any concerns or questions on that at this point?
Well, the Conservation Committee has a good intent, but you might run into some issues from landowners, as you know, like, are we doing a taking of something?
Yeah, I get it. And just to sort of provide some context, and again, I'll have full language.
Yeah.
But don't have any full language to share right now. This would only apply to properties coming to the planning board for, in this case specifically, a subdivision application.
Yeah,
So if you're already coming for a development project, you either need to conserve the trail that goes across your property or potentially pay a trail impact fee. So allowing the town to accomplish its big priority goal from the comprehensive plan of creating a trail system and interconnected trail systems, which frankly, at this point, don't really have a way to fund those things other than the grants that the Trails Committee continually goes after. There's not another funding mechanism. So we will be required to have a public hearing. I will be interested to see how the public hearing goes. I think you all have sort of recognized that I'm a little bit of I want to start a conversation. It may not go anywhere and I'm happy to have the conversation.
Yeah. And we can certainly invite those people to come to the meeting where we discuss this. And
Yeah, yep. So what I've sort of talked about with the Conservation Commission is I'll come with my intern and present to them
Yeah.
what we've come up with. They'll sort of massage it and do some of their work, and then we'll bring it to you all for a workshop as well. And then until you're comfortable with it, we won't schedule any sort of public hearing.
Do you think there are towns that have something similar? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I was wondering if your intern has done any research to kind of.
Yeah, so what I encouraged him to do was to look mainly at Maine municipalities.
Yeah.
Senior at UMaine. So I first said, look at Maine municipalities. I know that there are a couple that have a like requirement to maintain trails. Saco was one of them when I worked there. And then the trail impact fee is, I mean, obviously that's a very common way to sort of get some additional funding to pay for these kind of publicly designated benefits, that the community agrees are an important thing. And we have heard that through our comprehensive plan engagement as well.
The explicit requirement is essentially, as it says, it's for newer builds. You're not talking about a landowner that's been there and all of a sudden, bang, they have to.
No, we don't, we wouldn't have any authority to do that, actually.
I didn't think
Well,
so.
I mean, we, eminent domain, but that's,
Yeah,
I don't think that's anything that anyone's supportive of, so.
so this would be newer constructions.
Anything coming before the planning board after the date of adoption. Yeah. Be the thought, but we can, again, keep working that out.
So if you own 50 acres for 20 years and you wait till after January, you're gonna get wet.
Or you gotta get rid of the trail before,
Or that.
before the development. You just can say, sorry, you can't use that trail anymore.
Yeah.
Then a little while later you come in, I don't know. It's,
Yeah, so anyway, just some.
yeah, no, that's
something to
good. I
think
think
about.
we certainly need to do some work on that awareness.
What's the feasibility? There's a trail that, let's say this parcel is gonna be subdivided. And the trail goes right through the longest part of it. Having the trail change course and do a runaround type thing, as opposed to messing up a project.
Yes, that's certainly what we'd be looking to do rather than, you have to retain it in place. I don't think that's what anyone is anticipating. You have to.
Yeah, and bounce it off of them and say, I guess.
And then the second sort of set of pages, I know I need to buy you all magnifying glasses with this, so, because I know I do things small, but I have sort of started to come up with some changes. This is just the table of contents to the existing ordinance. And I'm trying to make this a little bit more of a user-friendly document that follows some best practices for ordinance drafting. So, the first chapter, I just changed the name of it to match the generally accepted authority and purpose name. And not necessarily changing anything there, I don't think. The amendments section, so how to amend the ordinance, public hearing required, would be moved down into section 2 around administration and operation. I think that is where that fits better, the administrative piece. This is my recommendation. If you want to talk through anything right now, happy to have that conversation. There's one section under planning board powers and duties that discusses what the planning board is authorized to review, and then how the planning board makes recommendations on this ordinance. It's a state statute that the municipal reviewing authority, so the planning board makes recommendations on any changes to the land use ordinance, including this one, which has a different name, but is essentially a land use ordinance. So that would be moved into amendments. And then what the planning board is authorized to review is usually better suited for the areas where you're actually talking about the specific project rather than in the powers and duties section. So this would be established in a to be established site plan review section and then the subdivision section. And then my recommendation is to move non-conforming. That section is currently section 3. And you would typically have this after you establish what conformance means. So you would have, your dimensional requirements or what you call your general site requirements at this point, and then the non-conforming, just so that as you're going through the ordinance, especially where your ordinance is just a PDF, and it's a little bit hard to start having that first and then the non-conforming section to be helpful and more user-friendly. And then general renumbering as necessary. Page 4, I want to throw this out there and I would appreciate the feedback that you have. It has been continually confusing for me that we call it development review and not site plan review, and it's not site plan review standards. As in, because I know we colloquially call it that, but it should be named that in the ordinance. Because that also matches state statute references for site plan review versus subdivision review. So my general thought process here is to sort of separate our existing section 6, which is devoted to development review, into two different sections. So for example, 5 and 6, one of which is limited to site plan review. So namely commercial developments that are only on one property, but which currently require planning board review. Not necessarily changing any of the requirements unless you want to have that conversation about what requires planning board review. But separating that out with its own standards and submittal requirements. Because right now, I think it's just confusing for applicants and it is confusing for me as well as I'm going through and trying to review things and understand what's applicable and what's not. So that would be my recommendation. Not hearing any major concern. I know we sort of colloquially call, multifamily development and commercial development site plan review anyway. So.
You've been using the sheets that we developed years and years ago for approval sheets to look down to see what is in what section. What you do in site review sort of tells the codes guy what now, Isabella, what is pertinent to that section in the ordinance.
Yeah.
So we're not using that now, because Isabella has given us all the pertinent information, but we used to, because I didn't, break it down. Now we have it right in front of us, so we don't have to look at those, but that's what I use, and that's what I think Isabella started to use, is those sheets that I still carry, so you can read them off at a meeting.
Yeah.
So what I do when I write my memos is I first go through and I find every standard that's applicable to that application. So if it's solar project, obviously we have specific solar standards and then the site, currently development review standards. Some of which only apply to subdivisions, so I take those out, and then some of which specifically apply when you're doing site review. What I would like to do is just make that a little bit easier to understand for applicants. They, as they're going through this, say, okay, this is a subdivision. I know what I'm proposing is a subdivision because it's so defined here and in state statute. And then I know that these are my submittal requirements and then these are my standards. And then likewise with site plan review. This is what I need to submit, because the other reason for that is the things that you need to submit for site plan review are typically a little bit less stringent than what you would need to submit for subdivision review. Subdivisions are typically much larger parcels, much larger parcels, and obviously have, surveying requirements and some of the things that Paul Root pointed out in his comments. And then site plan review wouldn't need that level of survey data, road curve data, et cetera. So I think just separating those out for usability would be really helpful for applicants.
What's your thought about putting the shoreland zoning ordinance in this?
So that is a great question, and it is, this isn't a best practice per se, I just have a feeling on that one.
Yeah.
In Orono, our shoreland zoning ordinance is within our zoning ordinance, and it drives me crazy. I think it's actually more helpful to have that segmented out as its own separate thing with its own non-conformance requirements and its own separate requirements. And that is not necessarily site plan review. Again, that's a shoreland permit versus site plan review, such as what we've given to solar projects. They were very confused about, is this a building permit? What is the expiry date for this, et cetera? And I remember having that conversation, and my response is, no, this is a planning board entitlement. It is not a permit. You still have to go get a permit from the code enforcement officer in almost all cases.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That really does make sense.
Yeah. So just also clarifying that as we sort of piece part. Okay, and then I do have just a clarifying question, I guess. So we have something called development standards for specified activities.
Yeah.
And then we have general development standards that apply in addition to the review criteria for subdivisions and all development review. What is the difference between the general development standards versus the review criteria? And why are they segmented out?
I think what happened is we were reacting to certain projects and added sections in on transmission towers and windmills and then solar. So those sort of became special. You know, you needed special conditions or requirements on those.
Okay,
I
Just the
think-
way we add photos before and after, now is added in. Before it was per case.
okay.
We would read it and say, do we need photos for this one? Yes or no, you know. It's the same
So-
idea. We came up, so we added it into that line.
Okay,
So how we deal with that, you know, it's only certain types of development that have those additional conditions. So I don't know how you,
You're gonna have if
Organize that.
applicable, if you do it that way,
yeah.
you're gonna cross them off on a lot of them and circle them on some.
So what I would suggest is, I think we should establish specific review criteria. It's applicable to
everything.
99.9% of projects.
Yeah.
And then we have what I would propose calling and what other communities call performance standards.
Okay.
And that has a specific applicability criteria. So obviously, you know, manufactured housing parks. We know that only applies to manufactured
Yeah.
housing parks. We would define that as an applicability in that performance standard. Likewise, outdoor lighting, business signs should be moved from general development to performance standards.
Okay.
And only applicable in instances where those are proposed. It's a little bit semantics on my end. But I think that would be helpful for me because then I won't have to put on every memo. No homeowners association proposed, not applicable, you know, whereas currently it is a general development standard whose applicability says it applies to everything. So I address it,
Yeah,
but then I say not applicable.
yeah, right,
So
yeah.
if we could remove it and put it in performance standards and specify that that's only applicable when those kinds of things are proposed, then I wouldn't need to add it to every. I guess what I'm really saying is it's semantics on my end, but I think it is helpful framing so that people understand that these erosion and sedimentation control, stormwater control, preservation of natural resources, that applies to every project. And that should be review criteria versus performance standards, which only apply in certain instances.
Okay,
Yeah. Sounds good.
that makes sense.
Okay, and then my last thing, and this is a little bit nitpicky, but I think it is a best practice of how people read ordinances. The definition of terms should really be at the
In the
beginning.
front.
Yeah. And maybe not as the first thing or even the second thing, but I think I said move it to probably section 3. So we have authority and purpose, administration, definitions.
Definition.
And can you, this is something that we'll go over when we review this, but I've seen in the definitions issue, it's in italics or a different print, and where it's referred to in the body, it's in that same, so they know, oh, there's a definition for that.
Exactly, yes. And when I have a term such as setback, I would like it to be like capitalized or in a different,
If
It's
different
on-
font, so you know,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah,
so people can, oh, all right, well, what's the total definition of a setback? Well, I know what it is, but not everybody.
and then we would also clean up conflicting definitions.
well, I was just gonna bring that up, is
Yeah.
that we had concerns sometime in the past that definitions of the same term in one ordinance, like shoreland, differed from what might be in the
Land use.
land use. So we should try to be somewhat consistent. Now, shoreland, we're probably stuck because that's probably in the body of that state statute, or do they have?
Yeah, so the shoreland
This-
zoning ordinance is based on a set of guideline and by guidelines, it's rules, they
Yeah.
call it guidelines from the state. So they say you have to adopt the ordinance as drafted here. You can be more strict.
More,
you can't
more
be
strict,
strict.
right?
But you can do that in the definition section.
Yeah.
That you can specify
Of course you can.
that,
Yeah.
that this applies in shoreline zoning, not necessarily in other things.
Right, so shoreland should have its own set of definitions that apply there. And then to your point, we should attempt to be consistent.
As
but-
close as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are instances where sometimes it makes sense to not be consistent with the state. So we can have those conversations as they come up. Okay, I just wanted to get feedback initially, if there was like anything that you saw, I don't want the definitions moved to the front, we did that for a reason, I wanted to know that before I started working on it, so,
I don't think we care.
okay.
I do.
Do you,
Yeah.
where do you want the definition?
I want them in the front where they belong.
Okay, perfect.
No matter it's the last page.
Because it causes great confusion. Don't start.
I've been, I have this intern that's starting with me, and then we just hired an admin assistant in another town that I'm working in, so I've been thinking a lot about like how to train people to read ordinances. I was like, oh gee, I don't know about this, is not how I would train anybody. So I thought that we should probably fix that, before we start making like big substantive policy changes. Get us set up for success.
And Rich needs your help with that, because he does not know how to read an ordinance.
So we can do some
And
training.
he's the CEO.
Correct.
And are you done on your end?
I'm not on my end.
So I wanted to bring up part of my conversation with Bill Monagle, which he kind of put in an email to us, is that he's spending a lot of time, mostly on subdivision, like on Lake Star and the housing one. Hours and hours, he's had special meetings with them and so I think it sounds like and we've always had in that we could charge a fee for their review for his actions and activities. And I think the question would be, or a question would be, on some of these bigger projects that he's involved in, when we come to the review, if he has given us a bill for his services, do we make that a condition of approval for payment?
So there's a couple ways, I know that the town office has been opposed to escrow in the past.
Yeah,
That is obviously the preferred and best practice way
Yeah.
to do this, because I don't think it's fair that he's sending these directly to applicants and then he's having to chase them.
Yeah.
He should be the ones
Yeah.
chasing them down. He's doing us a service. That all being said, if the town office continues to be opposed to doing escrow, I do think that we have to do it as a condition
condition of approval.
before any permits are issued, holding permits.
I mean, what's happened is, I don't know what they did with certain accounts, like we've got an escrow from Central Maine Power for several $1,000s.
It's gone.
Is it gone? It was used?
Yep.
I haven't gotten a report on any of those.
What those things that we had to, the CEO had to inspect the pools after
Yeah,
all that, was put back into the
general fund, okay.
What other towns do, because obviously Watershed operates obviously in Winthrop
Yeah.
and other towns, right? Do they have a?
I don't know what they're doing. We could check and see.
Yeah, I think 2 point, yeah.
I can check that. I'm assuming that they're doing an escrow, but I can verify, and then if there's a better
Our
way.
auditors refuse to do our books if there's escrow. So we had to drop it.
Home ratios?
Our auditors.
Get rid of that.
Yeah, get another
No, you
auditor.
can't.
Why?
You can't find another auditor to take us.
That's right.
Never.
That's right.
We have to pay whatever this guy wants because there is no other.
He said that the other day.
Well, I'm sure shit would be looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next thing.
He's doing it for a favor, as a matter of fact.
Ask him
Current
how
order.
much time typically.
Because
and
he doesn't want to do it.
some of it's like he's doing. So
Well,
we
it's-
could calculate, what kind of escrow we should be asking.
I think we just make it clear to the applicant that
It could be a fee.
there could be a review fee for Cobussy watershed because of the nature of your project.
Unless he has another
I mean, he's willing to look at a lot.
another engineer that he wants to buck the system, you know?
So
He would have to accept it, I think.
Yeah,
Did we at some point discuss an applicant could bring in their own? They could,
Yeah, I think we've had applicants in the past say, I have, my brother-in-law is an engineer. He's doing the water quality and he's doing the phosphorus control numbers to shoot past to make sure that the surveyor has the right, surveyor/engineer for the project has the right numbers.
yeah,
So
so,
there has been third-party review, if you want to call it that, in the past, but because Bill has said, I'll do it,
you're right,
have
relied on.
I have delivered the packet to him on Friday after the Thursday meeting.
And other towns hire a third-party engineer. So
Yeah.
They have somebody on retainer essentially to send all of these things to, and they send the bill to the town and the town pays it. So I think Bill's doing a service.
yeah, that's his email, and I can send it to everyone, forward it to everyone, but,
Yeah, I think, it's up to the applicant, I mean, who they're gonna pay.
If you're gonna use ours, it's Bill. And I think even if they could do a third party, well, we as a body is probably gonna send it to Bill just for him to look at.
To make sure that it's up to snuff.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna do that anyway because we trust Bill more than somebody we don't know.
right.
Right, which is why, like, in other places, they have this third-party retained engineer or any number of reviewers, in Saco, I had a landscape peer reviewer and a lighting peer reviewer. I had all of these different reviewers, we had worked with for a number of years and the applicants paid for them all.
Yeah.
So,
And if they had another landscape guy, did your reviewer just courtesy check it?
right, exactly, that was exactly the situation.
And
And
that's,
can provide feedback related to our ordinance.
send it back to that guy and say, well, I think you should do it this way.
Yeah,
Well, you have a project that's large enough and his brother-in-law does it and you don't check it and then they make a big mistake, you're in trouble. So I would be much happier with third.
Well, you could go back to the third party review,
Yeah,
and get compensated for that. But why? Why do that when if Bill is still willing just to give
but
it a
he should
check?
be paid when he
Right,
does.
and he doesn't want to, they don't have the capacity to chase people for the money.
Of
Correct.
course not.
And he mentioned some people in particular who he thought would never pay.
Oh, yes, there
Someone who
is.
might have been here tonight.
Yes, was here.
But I guess he sent a couple bills out in May and they still haven't been paid.
Really?
One might have been the housing one and maybe Berry Renewables,
okay.
which was that solar one.
And he spent a lot of time with them as well, and that's not a subdivision.
No, and he, and one of the things he said in the email, I gotta tutor some of these consultants because they don't seem to understand. So
Yeah.
Well, when I.
and he goes out, he bends over backwards to be kind of accommodating to, but
Well, when the solar array that's off Berry Road, when the landowner said, when we said, if you do this, your phosphorus is used up. You can't do anything else on the rest of the land. And he was dumbfounded. He said, what? A what?
yeah.
So, yeah, if his brother-in-law did that, he wouldn't tell him, right?
Yeah.
That's why you desperately, and he should be paying Bill.
So I think a longer term solution that I'd like to broach with the town again is this escrow solution.
Yeah.
But if not, if that's not something that's feasible, we have to do a condition of approval prior to the issuance of any building permit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have a new code officer, and then there can be some training around, this is what a condition of approval is. You need to look at them,
Correct.
ask me questions if you have questions. and verify that everything is checked off.
Well, then going back to this ordinance, should we have a section? Third-party review fees or something?
We could.
We have the ability to take in as an escrow right now. The other thing we could consider doing is we can just, like you did for me, up our fees. So,
Yeah,
you know, if you are triggering, if you're
Yeah.
doing enough that you need a stormwater permit from the state,
it's an extra $1,000 or $1,200.
something sufficient to cover Bill's
Yeah.
costs, and then the town can just pay those invoices
Yeah,
on its own, and we would
Yeah.
have revenue coming in to pay those
Correct.
and offset it.
Mhm.
And the checks and balances
Yeah.
that we can put in the packet and say, yes, this was paid.
so we can invite Bill to come in as we're reviewing this. He might want to stop in and, or if he's here for another
That would be
meeting.
great.
And I have been working with Bill, on like the timeframes, the revised timeframes.
Yeah, he
for
mentioned that.
subdivision. So that has made a difference, I think. I mean, we've only had Lake Star, but he had 30 days instead of the,
Yeah.
you know, 6 that we were giving him before to
Right,
review
right.
things in detail and have these meetings, and we go through those, so.
He was used to getting the packets the day after our meeting, and I just throw him the
Yeah,
whole thing.
yeah.
And he would separate it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Now there's review and it's not getting there. Yeah, it makes sense. It really does. No, I agree.
All right. So do we have anything? So do we know what's coming in on October? Any idea
The
yet?
application.
Nothing yet?
I also want to reiterate that I won't be here.
Yeah.
You'll have your packets as normal, but I will not be visiting.
Well, you'll have other things to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be here.
I know.
And because of that,
Yes.
Oh, very nice. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations, hope everything goes well.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I would have been here, but we're having a lot of family coming in from out of state.
Oh, sure, it's the big.
Yeah.
You can. You gotta take the time. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
We'll be okay.
We'll be okay.
So
Yeah.
if you run into any Indiana Hoosiers running around Monmouth, you know.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Will they be
We'll be
wearing,
in the
will they be
balcony.
wearing red or?
We'll all be in the balcony at Compton. Is there anyone here?
You're gonna get Dennis to
She is.
officiate?
So Dennis is our DJ. He's DJing.
Yeah.
I do have an officiant who is one of my friends from when I worked for the city of Saco, who's
Yeah.
gonna come and
Great.
officiate for us. So, yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Dennis will be your music and comedy hour.
Yes.
That's what we have realized,
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But how cool that you're doing it at Constant.
I
That's
know,
really-
yeah, I know. When you hired me for the comp plan, did you think?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
Well,
Yeah.
glad it's happening.
Yes.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
briefly,
yeah.
but so the array that's going in, I designate it by behind the pot barn or across the road from the pot barn. We talked about planting. We were very clear about planting. They have not taken one spade of dirt to make those plantings. It's September.
Are you talking about the first one?
Yes.
I don't know what that one said.
As I recall, and I can look it up and provide a written answer to your question, but as I recall, we didn't do, like we did on this one, a requirement to do it all like ahead of construction.
No, it wasn't ahead, but
Yeah.
we made very clear
Yeah.
that planting needed to be done. I remember the discussion. I remember because I'm thinking about the guy across the street. In his house to look out.
I think we missed the boat on that one though. They're planning on doing it after the arrays are in.
And so so that is one thing that we should just be aware of, that they can't necessarily start operation, but that doesn't prevent them from
They're doing
putting
this,
the arrays
Putting
in.
it there and the
they're
guy.
doing the same thing with the snowmobile trail. We're riding scot-free here because there is no trail. So because would mess up the trail with their equipment putting the arrays in. It's that close. So we're just riding along. we're not, it is what it is and we understand it. They just can't put a trail in. So they'll have through their property a groomed trail that they will probably mess up with trucks if they do it in the
Yeah.
wintertime.
Yeah.
And we're gonna deal with it, because we know we got an approval for them to put a trail in
Yes.
complete. So we'll bide our time and we're just gonna do it that way, because it wasn't put in that we'll maintain. It was just said we'll designate a area.
Well,
So it is what it is, and we're learning, you know, as we
well,
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's just,
I know, it's disheartening.
Yes,
We
it
won't
is.
We won't get full growth trees
No.
before,
No.
before the eraser work.
The one that really annoys me is if you go in High Street, out of Highland Avenue into Gardner,
Oh.
there's that project.
That project,
yeah,
And you look at those trees and you say, oh my
Yeah.
God.
you're right.
I mean, that's been there for 3 years now. It's
Yeah.
just,
Awful.
yeah.
well, I'll tell you, up on the ridge. Oh yeah, we'll put trees in. They are dead shrubs is what they are. And when.
And this drought, and maybe we need to look at those trees and have Richard go
That
out
we,
and,
that we can look at and call them and say they must be replanted
Yeah.
before spring.
yeah.
So,
Because if it's not in good condition, that is in violation of their.
Yes.
site plan.
Good.
yeah.
So, but the thing is that has to go through the CEO.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not for this board to go
no,
police that.
And yes, please
That's-
do not show up at anyone's site and say you need to fix these trees because we will get in trouble.
No, but I
We just
know,
have to bring it to his attention.
I
Yes.
know what they were supposed to be doing and it's not
they
getting
don't,
done.
they forgot, you know, they probably have a whole new band of people working on it that was sitting here when it got approved 3 years ago. So, these people don't remember what was said at the meeting that are there now. It has to be reiterated.
I mean, this has been we have a few Christmas trees and, I mean, to get them through this summer,
It was,
it was a
Oh, this
challenge.
was terrible
It was
this
a
year.
challenge, dragging hoses, say, oh,
just so you know.
is it worth it? Yeah, just so you can cut it down.
Do you want to see this?
Who did I see, was it,
Steve will set up and I'll read that.
Oh,
they're
they're
looking for a
grooming,
tree.
they're grooming trees today
Oh, but I,
at Frederickson.
did the town turn something, say they're looking for a tree for Cumsted?
No, I haven't heard that.
Oh,
Yeah, because I got a tree that I was thinking, if I convince my wife,
Oh.
maybe they'll come and get it. It's grown big.
That's her DJ is probably looking for a tree.
Yeah, I'll ask Dennis. I run into him quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm sure it was Dennis, because
Might be
the
Dennis.
last tree you put up blew over
Yeah,
in the middle of the winter. You know, it was just on a stand. It was a cut thing.
well, I have this pretty big spruce that would be really nice.
There you go.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right,
Second.
all right. I don't know what happened to Dave. No,
Not a phone call, no nothing. He forgot.
geez, I saw him this week. He came up. Oh.
And if you like, you're noticing things around, send me an email, even if you copy,